All right, looks like we are officially live. Welcome everybody to my Sunday live stream. I apologize about being a little bit late today. I just was absolutely exhausted from last night. I played last night in Georgia, and it was just a long day, man. We left at 6 in the morning here in Nashville, and I didn't get back home until 2:30 this morning. So I just was really out of it, man, and really tired. So I normally do these at 11:30 Central Time, but I just needed the extra rest today. So I thought I would just go live here for a little bit and hang out with you guys. I realize this is a little bit later, so it's not my usual time. So hopefully we'll get a good crowd here today, and we'll get some solid engagement here. It always takes a little bit to kind of get some folks in and get some people chatting here in the chat box. But if you yourself have a question for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer. I really do appreciate everybody's support as always. As I always mention in these live streams, I really appreciate everybody watching my videos. It really means the world to me, and these videos are just doing incredibly well. And I really look forward to doing these Sunday live streams as well. So I just wanted to be here today and hang out with you guys for a little bit. So hopefully we get some people joined up here, and we'll get some questions happening here. But I just got back, like I was saying. I played in Georgia last night, and it was just a quick 2-hour set, but we had to be there first thing in the morning because the gig just had a bunch of bands going, and we weren't playing until 8 p.m., so we had to get in a early load-in and sound check. So we ended up being there for the entire day, and like I was just saying, I was just absolutely exhausted. I mean, I had been up for almost 24 hours yesterday, so it was a lot. And, that's something that people don't really realize, with being out there on the road, man. It's a lot of work, man. And, I think people get to see, the band up there on stage, and they think that that's so glamorous, but they don't realize just how much work it really is behind the scenes, all of the travel and getting up very early, running on very little sleep and still, having to perform a 2-hour set. It can be a real challenge, man, and it will really test you and really kick your ass out there on the road. So, it's definitely something I think a lot of people just don't really realize. They think that it's so fun and it's so glamorous to be up there on stage and, play for that 2-hour set. But, man, it can really be a lot of work, man, behind the scenes. And really, in my opinion, that's really what you get paid for. The music part is really the fun part, and that's the most enjoyable part of the day. But it's all the other BS that you deal with, whether it's travel delays or just getting up first thing in the morning, not really sleeping very much, and traveling for hours on end. That's really the kind of stuff that you get paid for, in my opinion, with these gigs. So, people, again, just don't realize this with playing out on the road. It is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. But yeah, I've just been really busy with playing gigs. I've been playing a bunch here in town, and I've also been teaching a lot as well. I actually just made the change to 8-gauge strings, so I'm using very light strings nowadays because I just play so much. And for years now, I've been using the NYXLs, the 10s. But man, it's like I play so many gigs, and my fingers were just getting so worn out from playing so much with those 10s. And then I also play acoustic as well, so I do a lot of these acoustic duo gigs, and man, it was just wearing out my fingers. So I made the change to really light gauge strings, and it has made such a difference for me. I mean, my fingers are nowhere near as worn out. I'm not ripping my skin here on my fingers, and I can really play for that many hours with no problem. Now, that was always a challenge, with using the real thick strings. I mean, they're not really thick. I mean, 10s are not that thick. They're not that heavy of a gauge. It's not like 13s or something like this. I mean, that would be nuts. But, using 10s, man, it will really wear down your fingers when you're playing some of these in-town gigs. I mean, these in-town gigs can be 4 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. And, man, if you're doing that multiple times a week, man, I normally play 3 to 6 times a week. It will really wear out your fingers. So I've been really happy with the lighter gauge strings. It's really made a huge difference. And it's also something that people should experiment with as well. Lighter gauge strings really change the tone, man. It really is a thing. And I really like the sound of thinner strings. I think it sounds great going into like a Marshall or into a Fender. It just kind of lops off some of the low end, and it is definitely a sound, man. It's very different in comparison to the tens. There's definitely a tone difference there for sure. So that's also something that I really encourage you guys to go and try out and check out. These thinner strings really are great, man. I love the way that they sound. And man, I don't have to work so hard at all with bending these strings at all. And especially with playing 3 to 6 gigs a week, man, it has just been a game changer with going down to much lighter strings. Back in the day when I was practicing and I was learning how to play guitar, I always used much thinner strings. I always used nines or eights, and when I moved down here to Nashville about 10 years ago, I made that change to the 10 gauge strings. But just recently I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back, and man, I've been absolutely loving it. So check that out and go and try that out, man, and see what you like. That's what I like, but you may like the thicker strings. It really depends on how much playing you're doing and what kind of tone you're going for. So try that out. But yeah, also I was up in Columbus, Ohio recently. I was selling off some stuff and I was visiting some family, and I made the drive up to Cleveland, and I thought I could talk a little bit about this instrument here in today's live stream as well. And I've got it right here. This here is a beautiful 63 ES330, original cherry finish with the nickel parts. Just absolutely beautiful, and I just had to have this guitar, man. It just plays incredibly well. It's 100% original, even down to the frets. It's all original. And there's a lot of life left on these frets as well. And man, this is just such a cool guitar, man. It plays great. And these have really gone up a lot in value recently. There's a lot of people that are after these 330s nowadays. And man, they have really gone up. They've definitely become collectible for sure. And I love these. These are different from a 335. In that they are fully hollow. They're not the semi-hollow like a 335 would be. So you have to be a little bit careful in how much gain that you're playing with this guitar, because it will feed back, it will run off on you, because it is fully hollow. But you can still play with gain. It's not like you can't play with any. You can definitely play with some. You just have to be careful in how much gain that you're playing with, because if you're playing something really hot and really high gain, it's definitely going to feed back on you. But these are great for playing clean, for playing, a detailed part, like a detailed rhythm part. Man, these are just awesome. They sound so good. And these pickups, these P90s here, there's just so much detail in the tone here. And when you're playing a complex chord or something, I really love what these pickups do with this guitar, man. There's just so much detail, and you can really hear all of the notes within the chord with these pickups. So I absolutely love this combination as well. The cherry finish with the nickel parts, man, is just awesome. And I also really like the nylon saddles on this guitar. This is also something that you guys should experiment with. So this here would be an ABR, and they made them with the nylon saddles and the metal saddles. And depending on what saddles that you have here on this bridge, that will also really change the tone of the electric guitar. It really changes the sound, man, if you play with metal saddles versus nylon. And for me, I like nylon saddles on a 335 or a 330. On a Les Paul or an SG, I really like the metal saddles. Those are my favorite on those. I think that's just the sound. And actually, I have a Faber bridge here that I can show you guys here the difference between this here with the nylon saddles. You can actually see it here in the camera. Get a little close up. Clearly see there the nylon saddles, but they're very different from the metal saddles, and it's really a sound, man. It really is. And I think on a 330, it's absolutely perfect. So I'm really happy with this guitar. The neck on this thing is absolutely amazing. And it just feels great to play. So I'm really happy to have this thing. So I bought that up in Cleveland, and had to have it. Had to bring it home. So pretty cool guitar there as well. And you can see there, look at that beautiful cherry finish. Just absolutely amazing there. So really, really clean, super nice. But let's see here. Okay, we have Bjorn in the house. Hey man, what's going on? Bjorn's in the house, and he says here, how's the neck compared to the 335? Man, it's very similar, honestly. That is a 63, 64, 330 there. It's like right on the edge there. But the neck profile is really good for those years and with Gibsons, So it's definitely got that neck. The 61 is very similar to a 59 neck profile. And I want you guys to stay tuned because I've got something coming out here that I'm working on that I'm going to be talking a lot about this. But these neck profiles are really, really hyped up, man, to be completely honest with you. I think there is a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of BS online here. And, very often people will refer to these 61s as having these razor thin, just super, super thin necks. But that is just not true for every single instrument from 61. It's just not. Don't get me wrong, there are some necks that are very thin, for sure. But not every single 61 335 has a razor thin neck. I have played many 59 335s, and I've actually compared the 59 335 to my 61, and I'm telling you, man, the neck profile on my particular 61 is almost identical to the 59. And I think the reissues really get this wrong, man. I've played a lot of 59 reissue 335s, and those neck profiles are so chunky that it is unbelievable. And that to me is just not a 59 neck profile. I've played many 59 necks, and they just are not that chunky, man. They are very slim too. I mean, they're not it's not razor thin like some 61s can be, but they are thinner for sure. They're nowhere near as chunky as what these reissues are, trying to say that these 59s are. I mean, they're just not. And I suppose it depends on what 59 they are actually profiling, because again, they are all a little bit different. All of these instruments were handmade. So all of these necks are just a little bit different. But man, I'm telling you, I have compared that 61 to so many 59s now at this point, and that neck is almost identical to that 59, man. Very, very close. But man, I love both, man. I really like the 63, 64 profile. I think by then, they really had the necks a lot more consistently done. That particular profile is very consistent. Every 63, 64 that I pick up, it really feels a lot like, another 63 or 64. But man, very early on with the Gibsons, whether it was a 59, a 60, or 61, those necks can kind of be all over the place, And to say that all 59 necks are like this baseball bat neck, it's just not true at all. It's just not true. And like I was saying, it is very, very similar to a 59, my 61. So, let's see here. We have Soft Southern Night in the house. Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. It says here, jazz box right there. Yeah, man, the 330 is great. It's great for jazz. Really nice. I mean, they're just great instruments. They're awesome. And you can really use those for a lot of stuff. They're very versatile. You just have to be careful with how much gain that you play with on those because, again, they are fully hollow. And that is a huge difference in comparison to the 335. So that's definitely the thing. But I just had to have it, man. It plays amazing, and it's just 100% original. It's just absolutely perfect. So the neck profile feels great, and the back of the neck is very clean. And that's also another thing that I look for whenever I'm going in to buy a vintage guitar is that neck really has to be perfect. I don't like there to be like any kind of major dings or just a lot of heavy wear, or if the finish is flaking off. Like, I just don't like that on a lot of these vintage necks. So that's something I'm very, very particular about because obviously the neck is so important because you're going to be using the neck to play the thing. And you really just don't want to be feeling like major dings or any kind of dents or anything in the back of the neck like you see on a lot of vintage guitars. And, it's just so hard nowadays to find one that is totally clean. So many of these vintage guitars have just been modified. They've been effed with. They've been played a lot, so the back of the necks are all effed with. And, man, it's just gotten so difficult. So when I found that 330, I mean, the neck is just absolutely perfect on that guitar, and it's like this for all of my guitars, whether it's my 66 Tele, the 61 335, the 64 SG. All of those necks are just perfect, and man, they are just dead on, man. So really, really hard to find. But let's see, we've got Scott from South Carolina in the house. Hey Scott, what's going on, man? Thanks so much for being here. He says here, what do you do if the pots or pickups go bad on a vintage instrument? Well, I mean, man, if they obviously go bad, right, they need to be replaced or they need to be repaired, So that's obviously what that would, that's obviously what would need to be done there with that instrument, So, I mean, you just simply replace it, right? But, I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, the stuff is very old, but the pots work way, way better than the reissue stuff. I mean, I've had reissue pots go bad on me within a couple weeks of owning a brand new guitar. The stuff that they put in these reissue guitars now are just garbage. So to me, it's just not even a comparison whatsoever. I mean, the reissue stuff versus the vintage instruments, it's just a night and day difference. And I mean, it would really be hard for that stuff to really go bad, man, to be honest. I mean, I would really be surprised, man, if the pots were to go bad or the pickups were to go bad. I mean, very minimal repair needs to be done. I mean, sometimes you may have to get a pickup rewound or something. I have seen that, of course, and that to me doesn't really bother me. I mean, I would like it to be all original, but man, if you have to rewind it, like, that's not the end of the world to me. To me, it's really all about the magnets and the pickups. If those are original, that is everything to me. That's really what makes the difference, in my opinion, with the vintage pickups versus the reissue stuff. So, but yeah, I've never had any go bad ever in the entire time that I've been playing guitar. I mean, with any vintage instrument ever. So they're very, very reliable for sure. But that said though, I mean, these instruments need maintenance. You got to take care of the stuff. That's a huge part of it too. I mean, keeping those pots totally clean and just keeping up with this stuff. It's a lot, man. Like I've always said, I mean, that's why I don't really like to own a lot of different instruments, because there's just a lot of upkeep with all of these instruments. This stuff requires constant attention, because the wood is moving around on you. The pots get dirty, they need cleaning, oiling up the fretboards, just general maintenance is a huge thing. And, doing that to, let's say if you have a 50 guitars or something like this, I mean, that's a lot, man. That's a lot of upkeep and a lot of work for sure. So, but yeah, there's that there. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. Again, I apologize about going so much later here today. I normally do this much earlier on in the day, but I just really needed the extra rest. I'm a little bit jet lagged, a little bit tired. I played in Georgia last night, and we left here in Nashville at like 6 in the morning, and I didn't get back home until 2:30 this morning. So it was almost a 24-hour day. So I was just absolutely exhausted, and really, really needed the rest. So again, I really apologize about the later live stream here today, but I normally do this at 11:30 Central Time in the morning. So come on back. Again, 11:30 a.m. Central is normally when I do these live streams. It just kind of depends on what my schedule is. Sometimes I'm out on the road, and I just have to push these back a little bit. So it's probably going to be the same thing for next Sunday, because I am playing in North Carolina. And it's going to be pretty much probably the same thing. I'm going to have to move this around because we'll be traveling back on Sunday. So I may have to do this a little bit later, like this week. So just stay tuned for that. I'll definitely do a post on when I'm going to be going live. But yeah, folks, if you guys have any questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I do want to take the time to mention that I do offer one-on-one online lessons. You're actually seeing and hearing the exact setup that I use for these online lessons. It's all shot on a 4K camera, and it's all pro audio. And what's so cool with these lessons is that you'll actually get a recorded copy of the lesson itself at the very end. So you could just simply download the video and rewatch it as many times as you want. So for more information on this, hit me up at jkm4231@gmail.com. It's also linked down below in the description box. I'd be happy to get you guys some more information, and I'd be happy to get you down to the books today. And while you're down there in the description box, check out all of the other links that I have down below there. I have a Venmo and a PayPal tip jar. If you want to throw a little love in the Venmo or PayPal or even a super chat here in today's live stream, any and all support is really appreciated. This is a donation of time here with going live. I make absolutely nothing off of these live streams. This is a pure donation of time, but I really do look forward to these. But again, I don't make anything off of this financially whatsoever. So if you guys would like to support the channel, check out all of the links that I have down below in the description box. Thanks so much. Let's see here. We have Godson in the house. Hey Godson, what's going on, bro? Nice to see you. He says here, happy Gibson Day. I like that. That's cool. Gift Sunday. That's awesome, man. I like that. Justin, for your amazing instruments, do you control the humidity in the room, etc., just for acoustic? Good question, man. So here in Tennessee, man, it's a very humid environment to begin with. So it's not really that big of a deal. I would definitely say over the winter time, when it gets really cold, you definitely want to be in control of the humidity. But I do have a humidifier up here as well that I do run. For this part of the year, you really don't need to, because again, it's very humid here in general, so that's not really that big of a concern. But definitely over the winter time, man, for sure. Definitely. That's always something to look out for sure, because it just gets very dry, and when it gets really cold like that. So definitely important. But man, I mean, with the acoustic, very important. I do use these, actually. I actually happen to have this right here. This is the D-Dario Humidipack. And what's really cool with these, man, is you can actually just drop them right in the sound hole of an acoustic guitar. So if you have this in a hard case or something, it'll really keep it humidified always. And it's very convenient and very easy, They're just little packs that actually go into the inserts there. And then you just flip them around here, and these just rest in between the strings there. So it's pretty cool. And really, really nice, really efficient way to keep your acoustic humidified. So I do use those, but it's not really that big of a deal here in Tennessee. But of course, when the wintertime happens, you have to adjust the truss rod a little bit, just to compensate, because again, the wood is moving around. So that's always something to do pretty much every winter, I've noticed. But other than that, that's pretty much it, man. And let's see here. We got Soft Southern Night with another amazing super chat. Thank you, bro, so much, man. Seriously, man. God bless you, man. That's awesome. He says here, enjoy, man. That's so nice, man. That really helps me out so much, man. Seriously, really do appreciate that. Give you some sound effects there. Thank you, bro. Seriously, man. I really do appreciate that. That really helps me out. Again, folks, these live streams are a donation of time. I literally make nothing on these whatsoever. I just donate my time because I really appreciate everybody's support, and I cannot do this without you guys. So if you yourself would like to contribute like Soft Southern Night did here, feel free to throw a super chat or a Venmo or a PayPal tip. Any and all support is really, really appreciated. So again, thank you, bro. I really do appreciate you, and I cannot do this without you. So thank you, man. That really means the world to me. It's just amazing with this community, folks. This community that I have built here is just absolutely incredible. I mean, the people that watch the videos, that support me, it's just really, really incredible. So, I mean, again, thank you guys so much, man. You guys mean everything to me. But let's see here. We've got William in the house. Hey, William, what's going on, man? How are you? Good to see you. He says here, do you think Gibson is in a quote-unquote good era? I have rose-colored glasses and think they're turning the corner right as I buy a standard. I have rose-colored glasses. I'm trying to think of what you mean there. And think they're turning the corner right as I buy a standard. Oh, okay. Yeah, you think, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest with you, Gibson has not really ever been in a good era since, the 50s and the 60s. To be honest with you. The reissue stuff is just not good. A lot of it is not good. I think some of the R9s are okay, I do like my R9. I like the way that guitar plays, man. And I think the neck profile is pretty good. It's pretty decent. It's not exact, in my opinion. But it's definitely pretty good, And it's very stable. It stays in tune. It's taken a lot of work to really get that guitar to a point to where I do like it. Because out of the box, there was a lot of problems with it, man. I mean, and there are, no matter what new Gibson you buy. If you buy an R9, if you buy a R8, an RO, a standard, I mean, literally any one of these guitars that they make are just simply not the same as what was made. It's just not. And, I think the neck profiles on a lot of these guitars that they put out nowadays are not correct. They're not like the originals. And, the pots are garbage that they use nowadays. They're absolute shit. They're absolutely terrible. The caps are not the same as well. And the bridge, the studs, the thumb wheels, the studs for the stop bar, I mean, basically, everything that they use is incorrect. The material is not right. It's not correct. So what they call a Les Paul or a 335 is not really the same instrument as what was made. It's a completely different instrument. I mean, like I was saying earlier with the 59 335 reissues, those 59 neck profiles are completely off, man. And I own one of those guitars, which I do like, by the way. It's fine. And I have very big hands, so it doesn't bother me. I can make any neck profile work. It doesn't bother me. But that 59 335 reissue is, it's way too chunky, man. It's not the same, and there's so much hype around these 59 neck profiles for these 335s especially. And I'm like, man, I compare it to my 61 335. I've compared tons of 59s now with this 61 335. And my particular 61 335 I have has almost an identical neck profile to a real 59, And then I compare an actual real 59 neck to a 59 reissue neck, and I'm just like, it's just way off, man. I mean, it's not even close. So, to be honest with you, man, I mean, I would say nowadays, like, it's just not the same instrument at all, to be honest with you. They are so different, and, it's just not good, man. And I'm just amazed at what they are selling these guitars for nowadays. I cannot believe what they are asking for this stuff now. It has just gotten completely out of control. I mean, $8,000 for a reissue Les Paul? $8,000. And they can't even get the ABR correct. They can't even get the thumb wheels right. They can't even get the studs, the stop bar, the studs for the stop bar. Like, they can't get any of that stuff together. They can't even use the right material. I mean, that is just pathetic, man. I'm sorry, but that is just sad, man. And I would much rather save the money and just get a vintage Les Paul, get a vintage guitar. Of course, to buy a real 59 Les Paul, Everybody knows they're 500,000 plus, so they're very expensive. So I totally get that. But man, you could find a late 60s custom or something that is going to blow these reissues out of the water, man. If you just saved up your money, you know. So that's what my thought process is. Now, for me, as a pro musician, I have to take in, to some consideration here that I'm traveling and I'm playing with this stuff a lot, man. So, like yesterday, when I was playing in Georgia, there was a pop-up shower, man, and we were playing outside. So some of the gear got wet because it was raining. Now, imagine if I had a 59 Les Paul out there, a real 59 Les Paul out there in the rain like that. I would have been just shaken, man. I would have been freaking out, But with having a reissue Les Paul out there, it's not that big of a deal because I know the stuff is replaceable. Now, I know that I have modified that guitar, but all of the stuff is inside the body. I mean, the tuners are fine, man. They're not going to get hurt if it gets a little bit wet. I mean, the instrument itself will be fine. I dried everything off right away, and it's all good. But think about that. If I had one of my vintage Les Pauls or my vintage 335 out there, I would have been freaking out, because it's like, man, I can't get that wet because of how expensive it is. So that's what I kind of like with the reissue stuff is I can take it out on the road and not really worry about stuff like that, And also with the R9s, they don't use, at least a lot of them do not use the Brazilian rosewood. Now, I know that everybody has their way of, doing stuff, like if they're traveling to another country, maybe they just claim it as just rosewood. But technically, you're not allowed to be traveling with Brazilian rosewood. So that's also another thing is, I play all over the world, man. So I don't want my guitars to be seized at the border because there's Brazilian rosewood on the fretboard. I've heard people just claim that it's rosewood and they haven't had an issue, but I don't play like that, man. I don't do that, And that's another consideration that I have with this stuff, is like I'm traveling around with it all the time. And, it just has to be replaceable because there's a lot of people that are handling my gear. And there's crew guys, there's stage hands, there's all kinds of people, especially on like a festival gig or something like this. So this guitar is just going to be seen and handled by a lot of different people. So that's why I just don't really like to travel with the vintage guitars, So that's why I use the reissue stuff out on the road, and that's why I have a set of reissues. I have the R9, I have a 59 reissue 335, and I have a 64 Pelham Blue reissue SG, but all of those guitars have been heavily modified. And these reissue guitars just need a lot of work nowadays. What they call, again, a Les Paul or a 335 now is not the same instrument. It is completely different and completely incorrect. Which is really a shame, It's all about the money to them, man. Honestly, it's all just pure greed. And that's why they use this cheap shit material. It's not even the same material. So for them to say that this is a 59 reissue Les Paul is absolute bullshit. Let's see. William says here, do you think we'll look back on this era of Gibson as a good one? No. Probably not, man, to be honest. Let's see. We have AB Normal in the house. Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. Says here, I have a 24 SG Standard 61 I got for half off at Sweetwater, and I love her. It's the Cardinal Red Burst. Guess people didn't like the color. I do, though. Cool, man. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you enjoy it, play it, man. Enjoy it. It's all good. Let's see. Godson says here, I know you had a busy year, But how is your original music going? I hope you guys have some free time so we can listen to something amazing soon. I also missed the Marshall head back there. Yeah, man. So it's going. I mean, what my plan has been is I'm thinking in the winter time to go in the studio and record. It has been really challenging, like you were saying, because I'm playing 3 to 6 gigs a week and then doing YouTube and traveling and learning new music and doing all of this stuff. So it's been really hard to try to find the time to get in the studio and actually record. The other thing is that going in the studio is going to be insanely expensive. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars to do this. So it's kind of like one of those things, man. I kind of think about it, and it's just kind of hard for me to throw down that kind of money when I'm looking at a fraction of a penny per stream on Spotify, right? That's what I'm going to do with this music, is put it up on Spotify. And I know that our music is going to be incredible, but it's a lot of money, man. It's a huge investment up front. And something that I have thought about is maybe taking that money, whether, let's say, if it's 30 or 40,000, and instead of spending it at a studio to record my own music, what if I took that money and spent it into my own studio, where now I could record our music whenever the hell we want? That's something that I have thought about as well, where instead of just hiring on a producer and going to their studio, what if I just took that money and put it into my own studio? So it's kind of something that I've been thinking about, but I don't know. I think it would also be really good to have a producer, to have somebody help us find our sound, and to also have somebody help us get the music out there to the right people, because in my opinion, with the original music, if you don't have a booking deal, it is a complete waste of time. Honestly, it is a total waste of time. You need to be signed to one of these agencies that can get you out there and get you out there on tour with major artists, so that this way you could start really building your fan base. If you just go to the studio like so many people do here in Nashville, they spend so much money recording music for it to just fall on deaf ears. Honestly, it may sound harsh, but it really is true. They spend tens of thousands of dollars here in Nashville hiring musicians, studio time, hiring a producer, doing all this stuff. And it's like, well, they have nobody to share the music with. They don't have any kind of fans or any supporters whatsoever. They don't have a booking deal. They don't have anything in place other than Spotify, which Spotify is going to pay them a fraction of a penny per stream on their music. So it's like, does that make any sense? Does that make any financial sense whatsoever? And to me, the answer is absolutely not, And I understand that, music, you're supposed to do it for the love and the passion of it, right? But this is my business. This is how I survive. This is how I make a living, So I have to look at this as a business, This needs to be profitable for me so I can actually survive and eat something, So I don't know, man. That's just the thing I see so often here in Nashville, These guys spend all this money on this music, and it's like, for what? Just to put it up on Spotify, and then, there's some dude in a bedroom that's, recording whatever bullshit AI, whatever song, and they're going to put it up on Spotify, and now you have to compete with that, So that's kind of the thing, man, is like the business has just changed so much. It's just unbelievable. But that said, I definitely want to get original music out there, but that's just kind of the thinking for me right now, is I'm just trying to figure out what the hell I want to do. Should I go in the studio and hire on a producer and spend all of this money, or just take the money and put it into my own studio, and then I can record myself, use it as a rehearsal facility for bands and for my band, and have it for myself, I don't know. But yes, you also say here, Mr. Marshall head. Yes, I just sold that recently, folks. I used to have a 6800 watt super lead. I sold that just the other day. So But let's see. AB Normal says here, because dentists continue to buy them. Yeah, I mean, whatever, man. It's like, buy what you like, I mean, people always like to make comments about, dentists or doctors, buying these expensive guitars. It's like, man, leave those guys the hell alone, man. Those guys help fund a lot of the music business, and who cares what people like to collect, Let people collect whatever the hell they want, I mean, I think that's awesome that they're playing, I think with Gibson in general, they're just greedy. They're greedy. And, they know that people are just going to buy them, regardless if they're dentists or doctors or whoever. People know the brand. They know Gibson. They know Fender. They're just legendary brands. So they know that they're going to sell this stuff. So, it doesn't matter if they're a dentist or a doctor or whatever. I mean, literally anybody will buy a Gibson or a Fender, even if you can barely play guitar. Even if you could barely play, if you just appreciate the instrument, they will buy a Gibson or a Fender. But man, they have gotten crazy expensive. Let's see. William says here, thank you for your insight, brother. Totally agree with all the stock parts on the guitars. I've changed all the metal, wiring, and sound improved a lot every time. 100%, man. That's exactly right. The material that the ABR is made of, the material, the thumb wheel, the studs on the stop bar itself, all of that stuff is going to make a huge difference, and it's so funny, man, when you go on that video that I did about the modern Les Paul and you take a look at the comment section, there's a lot of dumbasses that were commenting on that video, and they just clearly have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They've never tried to mess with this stuff. They've never listened to this stuff. And they don't have the ears to actually hear the difference of this stuff. So I got a really good laugh out of the comment section. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And I realize, it's a very sensitive thing for a lot of people because it's a very expensive instrument, For somebody out there that may be almost 60 or something, that's a lot of money to throw down on a Les Paul. $8,000, it's not really necessary to invest that kind of money on a reissue Les Paul. And I think deep down, a lot of people realize that. So I get it. People are very sensitive when I call out what all is wrong with these reissue instruments, because there's a major investment there. But man, if you really mess with this stuff and you really care about the tone you're getting, and you really want it to be closer to an actual 59 Les Paul, you need to make these modifications because the stuff is not correct. That was the whole point of the effing video. I mean, that was the whole point of the video, was to literally expose what all is wrong with these reissues. So, it's just funny. But anyways, Bog is in the house. Hey, Bog, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. He says here, what's your opinion on a 1988 Fender 52 Tele reissue? I'm going to look at one after work today. Man, I'm sure it's fine. I would just check the nut, make sure none of the strings are binding up. I'm sure it's fine, man. It's a Tele. I mean, a Tele's a Tele, man. They're great. I mean, I prefer a rosewood board instead of a maple board. I really like the 66 Tele that I have. I think that's one of the best years for the Telecaster. It's a Tele, man. They're great. But let's see here. The Sound Purist is in the house. Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. Says here, I wish you try a Sur version of LP someday so you can tell us your opinion on it. Sure, man. I would love to try it out and take a look, I just have not been satisfied with a lot of these instruments, man, that come out nowadays. The 335s, the Les Pauls, the acoustics. A lot of the acoustics are just terrible. And they want top dollar for this stuff, man. It's just ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Let's see. Godson says here, I like the idea of building the studio. Please do it and document. It would be awesome for YouTube and your fans. Yeah, man, that's true. Yeah, that is a great idea. Maybe I could do like a video series or something of the entire build process. I think that'd be cool. For sure. That definitely would be awesome. It's always been a dream of mine to just have my own studio. You know, right now with my channel and, you know, with all this stuff that I have up here, this is just in a spare bedroom of my house. So literally nothing is treated whatsoever. I mean, I do all of my videos in a spare bedroom and from the Tone Garage. You know, that's my garage downstairs, you know. So it would be awesome to have my own space where I could record my own music and, you know, rehearse with the band and do all of this stuff. You know, I think that would be awesome. So that definitely would be a cool video series for sure. Let's see here. We have Blues Are Us in the house. Hey, man, what's going on? Thanks so much for being here. Says here, do you think an emerging artist that goes viral will have longevity in the industry? I worry about these young artists chasing views and likes. Well, I mean, it really depends, man. I mean, because there's a lot of these social media gurus, you know, these guys that go viral and have all these views and stuff, and then you get them out there on the road or you get them out there on a gig, and they're so bad because they're so inexperienced. And there's no hiding, man. When you play live, you're live, bro. You're exposed. And that is the thing with a lot of this social media bullshit, man, is these guys edit this stuff, they modify this stuff, they hide out, they do 50 different takes on a part, and it makes them look like they're like these amazing players, you know? But it's all edited, and so much of it is smoke and mirrors and just bullshit. So that's kind of the thing, man. I think if somebody goes viral and they're really being themselves, they're really authentic and very true to themselves, they're a talented singer or a guitar player or a drummer, you'll do great. You will definitely have longevity, you know. But there's a lot of these guys that just crash and burn, to be honest with you, because once you get them out there on a gig, a lot of them suck, you know, and so they just crash and burn very quickly, you know. So that's just my opinion. I see it all the time here in Nashville, you know. These guys are these social media gurus, you know. And, man, you get them out on the road or you get them on a gig here in town and they just suck, man. They're just absolutely terrible. And, you know, just in general, man, that just kind of brings me to another point. I mean, I just think there's so much hype around here in Nashville with a lot of these musicians. These guys are not that good, man. They're not that good. Don't get me wrong. There are some great musicians here, for sure. But there's a lot of pretty rough stuff here, man. I mean, I hear some of these bands and I'm like, man, I think my middle school band could play better than this, you know. Honestly. I mean, it's just like these guys just way overhype Nashville too, you know. And even here on social media, like, I hear some of these guys play and I'm like, I can tell that those guys have never duked it out in clubs for the past 10 years. They've never been on tour. They've never done anything legit. They've never had a real gig. They've never done anything. You know, you can hear it in their playing, man. And, you know, just because they have their fancy lights and all the video and all the editing and stuff down perfect, that does not mean that they're going to do great live, in a live situation. And again, there is no hiding when you're playing live. So I think if you are truly talented and you can really back that up and you're really being authentically yourself, you will have longevity for sure. Let's see, we've got Joe in the house. Hey Joe, what's going on, man? How are you? Nice to see you. He says here, so I just bought an RO. It was sub 8 pounds, and it played the best out of 30 Les Pauls in the store I was at. I know what you are saying, but I felt I bought a great guitar with no illusions. No, man, and that's great. I think that's awesome. It's not to say that these reissues are not great guitars or whatever, right? I mean, they are. There's some of them that are pretty solid, man. They're not bad, But I just find it interesting that they call these guitars a 59 reissue or a 60 reissue, and they're just not really like that at all. I mean, what are they saying about it that is a 59, right? Like I was saying earlier, a lot of these neck profiles are not correct. They're not like the real ones. I've been fortunate that I've played a lot of real ones. The neck profiles on a lot of them are incorrect. The materials are all cheaper. They're shittier stuff. It's not the correct material. So to say that this is a 59 reissue or a 60 reissue, I just don't know how they can get away with saying that, because literally almost everything about it is actually different from the original. And that said, there are some great instruments out there. I'm not saying that, they are bad instruments. I mean, there are some, like the R9 that I play. I really like that guitar. It's taken me a long time to get it right, to get the tone that I really want out of it. But, it's a fine guitar, man. It works. It's a tool for me. Like I was saying earlier, I like to bring out the reissue stuff because I don't have to worry about it as much, Like playing in Georgia, it started raining, and I was playing outside. And fortunately, the stage was had a overhang, but the sides were open, So some water had gotten in, and some of the stuff got a little bit damp, But that's just what happens, man, when you take the stuff out on the road, So for me, with the reissue stuff, it's all replaceable. So at least that is good. That is a good thing, And that's why with the vintage guitars, it really has to be the right gig for me to take the stuff out, But that said, man, if you enjoy it, man. Who cares? Don't even worry about that stuff. Just play, But Joe says here, grateful to guys like you who help us understand what we are really buying. Thank you, man. Really appreciate that. Yeah, that was all that video was made for. The whole idea with it was to just expose what Gibson is doing nowadays. Like I was just saying, they can't really say that this is a 59, with the way that they are currently made. I mean, they're just not the same instruments at all, To say that this is a Les Paul, it's not really a 59 Les Paul, It is some kind of version of a Les Paul. It's a modified, the modern Les Paul. That's what I would call it. I would not call it a 59 Les Paul, because it's just simply not. Let's see here. Scott says here, some of my Gibsons have necks that have a sticky finish that slows my playing. Are the vintage worn in better? Well, I mean, man, and this is just another rant of mine with the reissue stuff. They finish these necks so heavily, and the body is finished so heavily that it really affects the tone, man. It changes the tone of that instrument. And it's so effing frustrating. And, when you play a real vintage neck, you play a real vintage guitar, you will see, man, that the finish is very light. It's not that heavy, man. And that will really affect the tone, And I had a lot of people comment on that video and try to say that the standards were a much better choice than the Murphy Lab. They were like, oh, well, I guess I may as well buy a standard then, if the Murphy Lab is that off. And I'm like, bro, if you're going to go and buy one of these new Les Paul standards, just go out and buy an Epiphone. It's that off. It is that off. And the finish is one of the things that the standards are just completely off and completely different in comparison to a vintage guitar especially, and to a Murphy Lab Les Paul. At least with the Murphy Lab stuff, they do finish the guitar lighter than the standards. For a reissue guitar, the Murphy Lab is going to be the closest thing out of the box that will get you to that 59 Les Paul. But again, this is not a 59 Les Paul. It's definitely not. It's a heavily modified 59 Les Paul. So to say that this is an exact recreation of a 59 Les Paul, once again, is just not correct. It's not right. And this comment here just made me think of that, with those comments that people were saying that I may as well just get a standard instead of the R9, because that is exactly the experience that you will experience when you play those Les Paul standards. They're just standard reissue USA line. You know, the necks are finished way too heavy, and the body is finished way too heavy. And of course, all of this stuff is still incorrect. The material for the ABR, the saddles, the thumb wheels, the studs, the stop bar, I mean, the pots, the caps. I mean, it's like literally everything is incorrect about it. You know, with the pots, the vintage pots, they have a completely different taper. I mean, it's just crazy. And again, what they are charging for this stuff is just it's gotten completely out of control. So that's just my opinion though. But yeah, folks, you know, if you guys feel like you got something out of today's live stream and you guys would like to contribute to the channel, check out all of the links that I have down below in the description box. You know, if you want to throw a little love in the PayPal tip jar or the Venmo tip jar, or even a super chat here in today's live stream, any and all support is really appreciated. I do want to also take the time to mention that I offer one-on-one online lessons. You're actually seeing and hearing the exact setup that I use for these online lessons. It's all shot on a 4K camera, and it's all pro audio. And what's so cool with these lessons is that you'll actually get a recorded copy of the lesson itself at the very end. So you get to simply download the video and rewatch this video as many times as you want, so you can really retain the information that I give out within the lesson. So for more information on this, hit me up at jkm4231@gmail.com. It's also linked down below in the description box. Thanks so much for listening. But yeah, folks, you know, if you guys have any other questions for me, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer. You know, I'm just kind of hanging out here, and I played in Georgia last night, and I got back at like 2:30 in the morning this morning. So it was a long day, man. It was a long 24-hour day, pretty much, exactly. So you know, that was a lot. So I needed a little bit extra rest today. That's why I didn't do the live earlier here at 11:30. I normally do this in the morning, but today I just had to go a little bit later. And the same thing is going to be, the same situation is going to be for next week as well, because I'm going to be traveling back from North Carolina. So I don't know exactly what time I'll be able to go live for next week. So just stay tuned for all of that. I'll do a post or something and just update you guys on when I'm going live. So stay tuned for all that. But yeah, I'll be playing in North Carolina this week. I have a bunch of stuff here in town. I'm teaching like crazy, and I'll be hitting the road again, like I was just saying, next weekend. And then the week after that, I'll be in Arizona for the entire week, which I'm really, really fired up about. I'm really excited about that. That should be an absolutely amazing trip. And it's going to be a perfect time of year to be out there, man. I'm really, really fired up about that. So it's a whole week-long run, and just going to be really, really awesome. So really fired up about that. Absolutely love that area out there. Arizona is just beautiful. Oh, man. Thirsty. But yeah, folks, you know, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave it there in the chat box. I talked a little bit about it earlier. But I just got this really cool 63 330. It's absolutely perfect. I'm trying to get it to focus in. Here we go on the camera. Really nice instrument here. It's a really nice neck on here and just really clean, man. It's a really nice example. These P90s sound excellent, and I just love the cherry finish with the nickel parts. It's absolutely amazing. And, I was just talking about how a lot of the material and stuff on the ABR and the saddles and all this stuff is so different on the reissue stuff. But another thing that you also want to experiment with, and I did talk a little bit about this earlier on in today's live stream, but you do want to experiment with the saddles here. These are nylon saddles on this guitar, and it really is a sound. It's very different from the metal saddles that would be on an ABR1. The nylon saddles I really like on this guitar on a 330 or on a 335. But on a Les Paul or on a SG or something like this, I like metal saddles. It really changes the tone, and this is really something that you want to experiment with. To my ear, the nylon saddles are going to give you a little bit more low end, and it's a little bit of a warmer tone, whereas the metal saddles are a lot more aggressive, and they're just a lot brighter and a little bit more mid-rangey in comparison to the nylon saddles there. So it's really something that you want to experiment with. But I really like the nylon saddles on a 330, 335, and like I was saying, like a Les Paul or an SG, a Firebird, pretty much any other instrument, I normally like the metal saddles. On a 335, I also like the metal saddles as well. I kind of go back and forth on that. I really like both. But it just really depends on what tone I'm going for. Now, what makes this very different from the 335 is the 330 is fully hollow. So it is a different instrument, 335 would be a semi-hollow instrument. So with this instrument, you have to be a little bit more careful in how much gain that you're playing with, because if you're playing with a lot of gain, it will feed back on you because it's fully hollow. But you can still play with gain with this guitar. You just have to kind of look out for that. If you're playing with a really high gain guitar tone, you don't want to use this instrument for that. But something with a light amount of gain, for clean stuff, for complex chording, these are amazing, man, because you can get every note to really be heard with these pickups. The fully hollow sound, man, it's really a sound. And this guitar, I could not put it down when I found it up in Cleveland recently. And I literally just had to have it. I just had to have it. And, actually, another thing that the reissues don't get right is the cherry finish. I love the old cherry finish. Look at how beautiful that cherry finish is, man. Super clean, man. And there's this particular red that the reissues, they just cannot get right, man. I mean, this is just absolutely beautiful, man. Just absolutely perfect. So, really cool guitar. It's very light. The neck is absolutely perfect. There's no crazy dings or anything, or any kind of BS. It feels great to play, and I'm really happy to have this thing. So, 63 ES 330. Really, really cool guitar. But yeah, there's that there. And let's see here. Joe says here, that is so beautiful. Talking about the 330. Thanks so much, Joe. Really appreciate it. And Scott says here, my Epiphone Casino made in Korea has a similar setup. Cool. But that is a completely different instrument, man. The Epiphone, the reissue especially, man. I mean, that's not even comparable. But anyways, I think that is it for today, folks. Let's see. We've been going here for about an hour and 5 minutes now. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave it there in the chat box there. I'd be happy to answer. If you guys do want to support me, check out all of the links that I have down below in the description box. I've got several links and several ways you can support me. Again, these live streams are a donation of time. I don't make anything off of these. So if you guys would like to support me, Check out all of those links down below. There's many ways you can, and I really do appreciate any and all support. It really just means the world to me, and I cannot continue to do this without you guys. So I really need your support. So check out all of that stuff. But yes, I've just got a very busy week this week coming up. I'm playing a lot of gigs here in town, and then I'm going on the road this weekend, and I'll be teaching a lot as well. So I've just got another really busy week coming up, man, and I'm really excited about it, really looking forward to it. Always love to play, always love to perform, man. It's there's just nothing like it, man. It's just so fun. But I did just recently, I talked a little bit about this earlier on in today's live stream. I did just switch over to the 8 gauge strings. So I was using the NYXLs for a long time, the 10s, but I went down to 8s because I play so much, and man, the past 10 years I've been using those 10s all the time, and it just kind of hit me. I was like, man, I want to go down to a set of 8s, and just try it and see how I like it. And man, I have been so happy with it. My fingers are thanking me. I'm not ripping my skin, and my fingers are nowhere near as tired as when they were when I was playing the 10s and the thicker strings. So just with how much that I play, I really like to use those thinner strings. And that is also a sound too. So you guys should really experiment with that. Try out some of these other gauge strings, these lighter gauge strings will really change the overall guitar sound. So check that out. But let's see. I think that's really about it for today, folks. Again, if you guys want to support me, check out the links down below. I really do appreciate you guys joining me. Come and join me next week, and stay tuned here on the channel. I'm going to be posting some more videos this coming week as well. So stay tuned for all that stuff, and come on and join me again for my next live stream next Sunday. I'll do a post as to when I'm going to be live, so stay tuned for all that. And once again, I really do appreciate everybody supporting me and checking out my videos and joining me here in today's live stream. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.